Let's start with the story of Dave. How do you feel about that?
Okay. I have a few, but I think one of my favorite stories of Dave that I've told a few times. But when we were just after our second year, we had traveled down to Andrew's house to see his parents and visit his parents. I think it was his sister's high school graduation party or something. And me and Dave and Win and Andrew and Andrew's father all decided to go out and play golf. And I had borrowed my father's clubs because my clubs were pretty terrible. So, I borrowed my dad's clubs, and we were on a par three, and it was pouring rain. And Andrew's father would not give up. He was, we're gonna play, we're gonna play, we're gonna play. So at this point, Andrew, I think, who wasn't playing, had left. But we were on a par three, and there was a lake in the middle of the hole, and I used my pitching wedge, and I took a nice big swing, and it was so wet that the club slipped out of my hand and went flying into the middle of this lake. And I was just like, uh-oh. I mean, these are my father's clubs. I really felt bad, like I had just lost my dad's club. And Dave said, no, we'll just go get it. And I was like, Dave, it's in the middle of the pond. Like, you're not going to we can't go get it. He's like, no, I'm already soaked. It's pouring rain. So Dave strips down to his boxer shorts and starts wading out into the pond. And Andrew's father, who was a member at the club, was just like, what's this guy doing? And we're just, oh, no, it's okay. I think he's fine. So he gets up to his neck in the water, and he's sitting up in his neck, and you can tell like he's like feeling around with his feet a little bit. And all of a sudden he's like, okay. And he reaches down and he pulls up my father's pitching wedge from the bottom of the pond. And he was 20 feet off the shore probably, and we were just like, wow, like that's unbelievable. And he holds it up his head and he walks out, still just in his boxer shorts, wanders out of the pond. And he's like, here you go. And I was like, that's unbelievable. But the funniest part about the story is we get back to the pro shop. And the club pro was just like, which one of you was in the pond? And we were like, oh no, we're in trouble. This is gonna be bad. And Dave's like, that was me. I'm sorry. Like, I just wanted to get my friend's club back. And the club pro says, no, it's fine. I just want you to know that pond is filled with snapping turtles. And if you ever wander in there again, you'll probably get your foot bitten off. And Dave was like, oh, okay. But that was sort of, but that was Dave. Like, I threw my club into a pond. We were ready to give up and leave it, but he wouldn't let it go. So it was nice.
Nice. You're staring at the phantom person.
Right. No, I have a tendency to move my eyes a lot when I talk, but.
So I guess this question will be, what Dave's death sort of meant to you and what you did as a result, and we're trying to get at,
Sure.
the starting of the foundation
Sure.
and things like that.
Well, I can tell you personally, when the night that I found out Dave died, I remember it was a Wednesday night, and Jenny Yoon actually gave me a call, and she didn't call me very often. As soon as the phone rang, I knew something had happened. It was 11:30 at night, and I remember her telling me, and she was pretty shaken up, and so I ended up spending the next 2 hours on the phone calling people because we had bar review the next day, and we didn't want people to show up at Fordham and find out about this. We wanted people to be able to process it a little. So I called, I don't even know, 10 or 15 people and had them calling people, sort of like a phone chain, so that everybody sort of knew what was going on. Obviously, it was terrible, and you don't even know what to say on the phone. You tell people, and they start yelling at you. That's not funny. Don't joke about that. And it's midnight on a Wednesday night. Why am I joking about this? And I remember the next day we all showed up at bar review because what else were you going to do? You kind of had to keep going a little bit. And we none of us actually went to the bar review class. We met with the deans, and about 10 or 15 of us went to Central Park and just sat around. And one of the big things I remember is I just was walking around, and nobody knew what to say. There was nothing you could say. And I must have said, I don't know, 1,000 times that day. Just not in answer to any questions. It's just, I didn't know. You didn't know what had happened. You didn't know why it had happened. It just didn't make any sense. And I think that was, for me, one of the biggest things. We ended up going to one of our favorite bars, Lincoln Park, and as Dave probably would have appreciated, we might have had a few too many drinks. And I can remember just, it was 11 o'clock at night and sitting on the sidewalk with a friend and just being like, I don't know. And she's like, I didn't even say anything. I was like, I know. I just don't know. I don't know what's going on. Like, I don't understand how this day is going. And so, you know, we after that, you know, it took weeks for things, actually, it took years for things to feel a little more normal. But eventually, you know, you come to some understanding. And, you know, I remember, I think it's the first time in my life I actually could follow the, whatever, 7 stages of grief, you know, between anger and you know, sadness and finally acceptance to how much ever we can actually accept it. But the following fall, Andrew had started talking about starting up something, you know, to do something so that maybe other people wouldn't have to go through this. And I can tell you, you know, I was one of the more reluctant participants, frankly. I wasn't sure that I was ready to confront the issue in that much full in front. I wasn't sure if I was ready to really just face the issue and just, you know, hammer it down. And we met. I guess there were 9 or 10 of us that met, and we were just like, you know, let's try and start something. Let's actually try and do something. And it was great. And I think the funniest thing about the foundation is I can't picture Dave ever actually, you know, joining a charity organization and running it. Not that, you know, he wouldn't have loved it. It's just, you know, it struck me as something that was almost a tribute to him that he would have loved, but at the same time he would have been like, you know, why aren't you guys just going out and getting a beer, like, you know? And I got to tell you, I was very reluctant when we started. And I think after the first event, I sent an email to the board and was just like, you know, we did something unbelievable tonight, and it's true. And the fact that we have so many people supporting us, the fact that we have such a great base of folks that knew Dave, that love Dave, and that know this problem. I mean, I have a lot of friends from college, for instance, who barely knew Dave or even didn't know Dave, but I think depression is one of those things that affects everyone. And even if you have never been depressed, you know someone who has struggled with these issues, and you know someone who this has really affected their life. And I've been very impressed with how the foundation over the couple of years has grown exponentially and has really, you know, we're starting on programming this year. We're really trying to get into the law schools, and I think to myself, I mean, what if this had been around when Dave was there? I mean, would this have made a difference? And maybe, I don't know, but I like to think maybe it would have, and I like to think that maybe there's some first year for 1L at Fordham that suddenly is going to, you know, be able to use our resources and get some help so that we can try and avoid this in the future. I mean, our program is really rolling out this fall. Right, we've worked with some great companies in the past, but I think at the same time we wanted to take a little more initiative ourselves, and we wanted to really focus on a ground level, you know, let's do this, let's actually work. And none of us are counselors, none of us are therapists. People come to us, and we're not gonna suddenly cure them of their depression, but we can point them in the direction of people that can help. And I think that's really one of the great things that we're trying to do is we're trying to actually get people trying to connect people with the people that they need to talk to deal with their problems. But what I would like for people to do is to go out and talk to your friends and see, because Dave, no one knew he was depressed. I mean, he hid it very well. I mean, he was a brilliant guy who could do that, and you'd be surprised at the friends that you have and the people that you know that are able to hide that sort of depression. And I think that just raising the awareness of just, you know, if somebody's not around for a while, or if someone, you know, seems distant, just ask them. Just say, you know, are you okay? Like, is everything all right? Is there anything you want to talk about? Like I said, most of the people at our event they're not going to be counselors, they're not going to be therapists, but that doesn't mean they can't help. That doesn't mean that they can't go to their friends and say, let's talk. Let's try to figure out what's going on with you and why this is going on. And if I can't help you, maybe there's somebody that can. You know, depression, unfortunately, is a difficult thing to see in a person, because you don't want to see it. You know, you have a happy-go-lucky friend, who suddenly, may take a turn. Maybe they're just sad for a little while. I mean, everybody gets sad, but it's when the sadness is really affecting your life that you really need to, as a friend, you need to step in and say, look, we need to deal with this problem. And I hope that's something that the people that are here tonight would want to do, would want to go to their friends and say, look, maybe I can't help you, maybe I can't solve your problems, but you need to go see someone who can, because it's not something you can fight on your own. You need help, and for very intelligent people, it's a lot of times very hard to ask for help because you think you can solve all your problems on your own, and you can't. Sometimes you just need to talk to someone, and you need to actually say to them, I don't know what's going on with my life, and I need to figure it out. And you just talking out your problems oftentimes can just really help you out a lot. And so that's sort of what I hope people will do, is watch out for your friends, watch out for your family, and watch out for each other.
That's very wonderful.
I think the field of law often draws very intelligent people and also very organized people who really sort of are detail-oriented and really sort of like to have all aspects of their life in control. And I think that sort of personality oftentimes can breed depression because things spiral out of control and you don't know how to fix it. If there's something wrong, if you are a lawyer and you're depressed, it's something you can't control, and lawyers are used to being in control, whether it's in control of their work, whether it's in control of their clients. You're used to actually having some level of control. And so there's statistics out there. I don't know the statistics off the top of my head, but basically the field of law has huge problems with depression, and we need to address that. And there's resources out there for lawyers, frankly. There's resources, the ABA has depression counseling, New York State Bar Association has depression counseling, but at the law school level, really sort of where you're first starting out, there's not much out there for people that are at that stage. And it's hard because that's really, when you go to law school, that first year of law school is incredibly stressful. I mean, I only got through it because of people like Dave and because of people like Andrew, who, you have to have a community of folks that you can rely on and sort of go to. And without that, it's really hard. And that sort of community, if you don't have other people to rely on, you can get depressed very easily. And even if you do, but it's such a stressful environment that if you already have some sort of pre-existing condition of depression, it's gonna get worse. And you really need to, we are hoping that we can sort of nip the problem in the bud, and we can sort of get people at their youngest, before they're 10 years out of law school and practicing lawyers. If we can get it at law school and get people to understand that just because you're highly intelligent, just because you're highly successful, that doesn't mean you're immune from this problem. It's a problem that affects everyone, and you need to actually deal with it now rather than let it spiral out of control. And over the course of the last few months, especially in a bad economy, there's been problems with lawyers. There's been lawyer suicides over the last few months, and the lawyer community always says, oh, that was just that guy. He must have just been depressed, and that happens. And to some extent, that's not wrong. I mean, that guy was depressed, and maybe, yeah, he committed suicide. But that doesn't mean that other lawyers don't have to worry about this. We work long hours, where we have high demands on us, and it's a very stressful life. And, it's not more stressful than being a doctor or anything. But the fact of the matter is you have to be aware of the problem. You have to be able to deal with the problem. And so that's sort of what we're trying to do, is we're trying to get to people early. We're trying to get to them while they're in law school, because it's the same personalities that 10 years from now are going to be those lawyers that are having problems. So we're trying to get to them early and trying to get them to deal with their problems early.